People are tired of going somewhere that they've seen on Instagram and seeing nothing but people selling fidget spinners and laser beams.
How do you take care when you're traveling to avoid harming these local economies that exist? And especially, I'm conscious as a white woman when I'm entering a certain place, like, how do I not be another basic white bitch who's traveling?
I thank you for that question. I'm just a basic brown bitch, so we're not that far off. It's true. It's true. No, so it's something that I think about a lot. And this is why I really do get up and I study my languages and I encourage people to do it, because I feel like that's a way to kind of honor and respect cultures that are not ours and that are not convenient to us. I think as Anglophones, people who speak English, we're just by default privileged as hell, because around the world,
Right.
people have to learn English or French or Spanish, but mostly English.
Right.
And what a missed opportunity it is for us as Anglophones to not have to learn something else. Like right off the bat, when you think about psychology, it's like you're essentially saying everyone else has to work twice as hard, but you guys that speak English, you're fine. It creates this like privileged energy when it comes to travel. Our passports are huge when it comes to privilege. Having an American passport is the golden ticket. So if anybody listening is an American citizen and doesn't have their passport, please do me this one favor. Get your passport, because for 12 years we couldn't get one. And I always thought about my friends who were American who didn't have a passport, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You have the golden ticket. We have so much access to countries simply by being from this country that gives you a passport that you can enter in so many places without a visa. Other people don't have that, right? And when I travel and when I befriend people from abroad, the inequality with this stuff is crazy. It's like my Egyptian friend tried to get his visa to go anywhere other than Turkey and kept getting denied simply because he was from Egypt and had an Egyptian passport. This guy is a great person, has never committed a crime. They simply won't give you the visa. My dad from Brazil couldn't come and visit us for 12 years because his visa from Brazil to the States kept getting denied. So it's like, this is a reality that's very near and dear to my heart, but maybe not to other people, because they don't understand. This is not their story. They don't have friends that have these stories. And this is why I want to share these stories. So the first thing to not being basic, it's like being aware of the privilege of where you come from, of the language that you were born speaking, and then doing your absolute best to be curious about someone else's perspective, someone else's language, someone else's realities, because that shit is not fair. Like, this life is not equal. That's the one thing I've learned from these travels. It's like, damn. And I know we talked about this on my podcast of how you do this every day for a living. It's like you're pulling back the financial layers, and every day you're in shock because you're like, damn, that's so unfair. Okay, let's keep diving. Damn. And that is my experience in the global travel spectrum, you know, where I'm like, holy shit, that passport is basically like you're not going to go anywhere. And it's by no fault of your own. It's just simply how the world works. So as an American traveler, or as an, you know, English speaker, or someone with an EU passport, even, showing up with curiosity is like the baseline. Beyond that, there are other things that you could do to find accommodations that are eco-friendly. I think, you know, you got to pick your areas. For me, I geek out on like solar panels and some kind of Airbnbs. I filmed a Netflix show, and every time we stayed at like an eco-friendly home, I was the one being like, guys, it's so cool. Like, this whole thing is powered by solar. Like, oh my God.
Right.
Staying local, learning local language, shopping at local vendors, like all of these things are small steps in the right direction. And shoot, like maybe my next venture is going to be all about that. It's like tourism that doesn't shit all over the beautiful places that we love. Because for instance, I've lived in Playa del Carmen, which is in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And back in the day, it wasn't a big tourist hub. It was either Cancun or Tulum.
Right.
But I stayed, you know, 45 minutes away thinking, and it was super local when I lived there. I lived there in 2014, 2013. It was 2012, actually. So it was a long time ago. It was 10 years ago. And it was a pristine beach town, only locals. There were a few shops, nothing crazy. I go back, Tori, like maybe 5 years later, and the beach is just shit. There's just shit everywhere. Not only
Mm.
are there massive hotels, but the dirt and grime, and like I saw the ocean receding, and I was just in shock because it was the first time that I really saw what tourism does to a beautiful place.
Yep.
So it's all of that. I think it's research. It's curiosity and it's research.
Yeah, I think about Hawaii a lot because it's a very popular destination. I've been multiple times. I absolutely love Hawaii, but you look at what tourism has done to those islands and to the people of Hawaii. It's just absolutely insane, to the point now where they're so reliant on tourism. It's like this like necessary evil where their entire economy now is built around it, but it's also taking land and taking, their coral reefs and killing their turtles and causing, housing prices and the price of, cost of living to go up to the point where now native Hawaiians are having to leave, right? And so
Right.
yeah, I even grapple, I love visiting Hawaii, and I grapple with that again as a white woman of like, I'm coming into this place to be this tourist, and it's like, how do you honor a place, honor the people who live here, honor their traditions, honor their space, and be the least basic possible, right? Do the least harm possible.
It's so hard.
It's really
Hawaii
tricky.
was like heartbreaking. When I first went to Hawaii, I was expecting this island filled with like native locals. And then you just dive into the history of Hawaii in
Yep.
general, and it's just like their
And the
language is
colonization of
banned.
it. And yep.
Terrible. And this is happening all over the world. Like right now, I love Greece so much. The Mediterranean has my heart 1,000%. But Greece is a place that I keep going back to. Italy as well. So when you want to do a little Italy trip, let's go. We'll stay
Girl,
sustainable.
I'm
We'll eat
trying to
all
do
the good.
Sicily because I've done northern, I've done southern, and now I want to do Sicily.
Let's
So that's
go.
next on the
Let's
on the
do
docket.
it. I've never been.
Oh,
So we will. I'll go back to Italy, or yeah, I guess to even Italy and Greece. But right now, something I want to do is like buy property in Greece. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, I would be contributing to the problem
mm,
because the locals cannot afford to buy things. The locals can't even afford to rent things. The average salary in Greece is like 600 to 700 euros. And now Airbnbs are double that, right? And it's like the rent
right,
prices, even if you're not talking about Airbnb, the rent prices have gone up. But here's the irony too, like these countries are creating incentives for digital nomads because they need the tourism dollars. So we're at this like
right. What is it?
very
Portugal, I
interesting,
think, put somebody up for like a year. You had the option of like moving to Portugal for a year. I saw that at the
and it's
beginning of
like
the pandemic. Like crazy.
tax deductions. Like in Croatia, they have a
Right,
digital nomad visa where you could stay for a year and you get like these crazy tax benefits. But then the government is creating these visas because the government needs money that's more sustainable in tourism, and they know that the external dollars will bring it in. But what it's doing is it's like stifling the locals. So to give you an answer, I
mm,
don't have an answer, but I think being aware of it is step number one. It's being curious enough to ask the questions and to have friends and to be like, hey, if you were me, what would you do? My Greek friends don't have an answer. The Greek friends that I have left Greece to work in London, for instance, to make their money. And
mm,
like this happens all over the world. My Italian friends, same
yep,
thing. The world is not fair. I think that's the baseline. And it's not like a happy ending, but
right.
being aware of it and doing your best to be informed and be knowledgeable and be kind is the basic.
Yep.
So you can be basic and not be a basic.